You're listening to Don't IEP Alone with Special Education Advocate Lisa Lightner. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. Now back to the show with your host, Lisa.
Hey, good morning. It's Lisa Lightner here with A Day in Our Shoes and Don't IEP Alone. And surprise, I'm on Facebook Live. I had this idea last week that when I'm recording podcast episodes, I might as well just do them on Facebook Live. I can get real-time feedback if you want to ask questions or comment on anything you need clarification on. And this platform that I use, it automatically records it anyway. So I can download it and upload it to the podcast for tomorrow. So you kind of get like a sneak peek. The one thing that I will say is that I don't necessarily have a definite time as far as this is when I'm going to record them. My schedule is very much driven by clients' IEP meetings and the Don't IEP Alone Academy, and when I have to do those live sessions. So I just kind of sneak in podcasts here and there. But here I am today. So welcome to 2026. Lots to talk about, lots to think about. And this is something that I go over annually at this time of year, right after holiday break, is that IEP data collection, right? As you all are aware, or you should be aware, all IEP decisions need to be based on data. Not just I think this might happen, or I think this is what he's doing. They need to be based on data, not feelings. So you need that data and documentation to kind of move the needle at the IEP table as far as what you're asking for. So now is a great time because it's the first Monday of the new year. If your child is going back to school today or tomorrow, I know that some schools do an in-service today, and there's never a great time to do an in-service. So, I just want to say I empathize or sympathize with those of you who have to go one more day. And your child, I know my child was just so anxious to go back to school today. But it's a clean slate, right? We're just coming back from break. There's a clear before and after to compare. Most of our kids had almost 2 weeks off, if not more, depending on your state and your district. So it's a great time to kind of see a solid break where there was no teaching going on. Maybe you practice skills at home, maybe you don't. But you have that clean slate, that before and after to compare. You can also combine that with the fact that probably near the middle to end of November, you received a report card and an IEP progress monitoring report. So if you haven't gotten it out and looked at it thoroughly, now is definitely the time to do that. And this doesn't have to be overly complex. Sorry, I hear my dog barking. I hope you don't. Just start a simple log. I've long said, maybe just your kitchen calendar. You can just write on your kitchen calendar as far as what's happening, the skill or the task that was attempted and what happened and how much support they needed, right? That's it. And you might be like, well, I don't do academic skills at home and all that. And I get that. But did your child write, say, thank you cards for Christmas for the gifts they received? That would be an excellent opportunity to, again, assess their writing skills or get some data on their writing skills if you tried to write thank you notes for Christmas gifts. If they tried to read a menu at a restaurant, or a Christmas card from a relative, or a Christmas storybook, or anything like that. Again, these are great tasks that you can, it's in the natural environment, but you can still collect data on it. Of course I have tools. I have free tools on my site to assess this. I have data collection sheets for teachers. I have documentation sheets for parents, but especially, school refusal. If you were doing school refusal and now your kid got got a 2-week break, like what was this morning like, and what's tomorrow morning, and what kind of prep are you doing to alleviate that school refusal in the morning, and what does it look like? So you want to compare all of that, to the progress monitoring reports, to what they're saying that your child can do as far as the progress monitoring reports. And maybe your child can do it, but maybe they can't apply it across all environments. And that matters. And honestly, I am dealing with this with my own child. At his last IEP meeting, which was in December, they said that they were removing the goal that he can put his own shirt on, that he can dress himself. Well, we are not seeing that at home. I have to reach out to them and ask them to take a video, ask them to tell us exactly how are they presenting the shirt to him, and so on, because even just this morning I tried it again, and he literally just sat there with it around his neck, which I had put it around his neck, and he made no attempts to put his arms through until I actually held the shirt up and kind of grabbed his wrist and all that. So again, it's not about catching the team doing something wrong, right? This isn't an adversarial thing. This isn't about a gotcha moment where they said he can do this and I don't think he can. It's about this collaborative contributing data, contributing information, and again, making sure that the child can apply the skill across all environments, because that truly matters. It's great that he can dress himself in the classroom with his OT and with his teacher and all that, but it matters that he can't do it here at home. Okay, so I know, listen, if you're looking at my hair in the breeze, I'm not trying to be this what's the word I'm looking for, an 80s rock star video girl, but us women of a certain age keep a fan on our desk for a reason. So that's what it is. And I actually have on this is a very thin hoodie, but I'm still a little warm. So anyway, yes, IEP data collection this week, make that your number one priority, to compare what you saw at home, what you're seeing at home, to what the reports say, right? You want to track trends now before the spring IEP meetings, before, if your child is getting another set of reevaluations, before these ESY decisions come up. You want to do this now, on January 5th, on January 6th. And again, a simple log. I asked him to write a 3-sentence thank you note. I dictated it to him. He refused after the first sentence, and he needed hand over hand to finish, right? Something like that. I will be sending, I'm keeping my own notes in my planner. I have a planner that I keep notes in for Kev. And, it's just going to say, I presented him with his shirt this morning. He refused. I tried to get him started or prompting with putting it over his head. That did nothing. And he really needed significant hand over hand to put his shirt on. It doesn't mean that I don't believe the staff, right? Of course I believe them when they say he can do it. But anyway, you don't need to be a trained evaluator or a behaviorist or a special ed teacher to track patterns. This is about, parents are supposed to be equal members of the IEP team. We want our kids to apply things across all environment. So I'm just asking you to observe and write it down consistently. Okay, because then all of that will point to, whatever it is that the child needs. And it might be more writing instruction, more practice, or more instruction in putting a shirt on. Or it might be, it might be me, and I might be doing a prompt that he's not used to. He is definitely a kid who can learn things in patterns, and he likes consistency, and I may not be at all consistent with how they're doing it, right? Once you have a little bit of data, again, You want to compare it to what the IEP goal says, to what the latest progress monitoring report says, and ask yourself, is your child anywhere near achieving these goals? Okay. You can use this data and documentation and bring it to your IEP meeting if it's coming up soon. Put it in your parent concerns, or depending on what you're seeing, you may want to request an IEP meeting to revisit some goals or revisit some things on the IEP. And if the data doesn't match if your data doesn't match the school's data, we're just asking for clarification, right? Like I said, I'm going to ask my son's team to tell me specifically how they're presenting him with his shirt, what verbal prompts they're using, and so on, because they're saying he can put it on independently. And that's not what I'm seeing. It's not about, again, it's not about catching the school. It's about asking for clarification. It's about getting things to match. Okay. So that's all I have for today's podcast episode. Oh, Jackie says that she has had to take videos for the team too with putting code on zipping. Yes. Yes, that's an excellent point, because not only am I going to ask them to show me how they're doing it, is that you're right. I should grab my phone and I should show them what I'm doing and how that's turning out, or not turning out, as the case may be. Over the break, I did not work too much. Schools are closed, so I like to take that as a break. But one thing that I did do, and I'm still doing, is that I am kind of like resorting and reworking all of the little mini products that I sell. Like I used to have this course called How to Understand IEP Progress Monitoring for parents. I had one for teachers. I had one on, I don't know, a whole bunch of different things. I had the IEP toolkit, of course. God, I got to turn this fan off even if I'm warm. It's blowing my hair everywhere. But what I did was I took them and sorted the components, kind of beefed them up a little bit. And now they are all IEP toolkits. So it's IEP toolkit, IEP meeting prep, IEP toolkit, IEP progress monitoring for parents, IEP toolkit, behavior. So they're all uniform. They're all a uniform price. Actually, I can put that there. There's the information in the first comment or second comment if you want more information, but I'm trying to get them, again, a lot more uniform for you and a lot more easy to understand, because just calling like something a mini course and then calling this a toolkit, and then one of them was called like how to know if your child's IEP is working. Like it was just too much. So anyway, they're now all IEP toolkits. I also have the link in there for the free IEP goal tracker. You definitely want to check that out if you want to track your IEP goals. I'm going to be offering a lot in January just because February, traditionally, I call it the February Freakout. Parents really, really freak out, and I don't want you to freak out in February with feeling this overwhelm of, oh my gosh, it's February, the school year's almost over. Okay, so dig in January. We have a lot to do. Advocacy is more important than ever. So come along for the ride. So I hope that you have a great first week of the year and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. We're so glad you've joined us and would love to connect with you outside of the show. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. From self-care tips to common IEP mistakes, there's even more to explore. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast and subscribe to never miss an episode. Until next time, don't IEP alone, and you don't have to.